Welcome to an episode of Nerd Variety Podcast. It is just two of your favorite, two of your three favorite hosts, our only host. It's me, Josh, and I'm joined by Matt Burton.
What's up, people? Long time no talk. I'm excited to get into this one. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we are so sorry. It has been several months since we've recorded anything. Hope you guys have enjoyed the shorts and whatnot. But yeah, we've been just living life, making it to 20, we made it to 2025. Um,
Woohoo!
yep, we're here. We'll see what fresh hell awaits us this year.
Indeed.
This first month has been just cold and with hints of fascism.
It actually
When
snowed here in Georgia,
snowed
and
twice in
for,
Georgia.
for those of you that don't know, it never snows in Georgia. So for us, especially where I live, it was almost complete chaos, but joy because everybody loved it. Just the fact that the whole entire town shut down for 2 days was kind of nuts.
I mean, our it's my hometown too, where Matt is, and trust me, it is not snowed that much in like 12, no, 15 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Damn.
it's been a while. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it was.
remember that day. It went. It we. I was in. I was in high school.
Yeah,
uh,
I think I had just graduated.
it was my last year of high school, and yeah, it
Yeah, so
snowed.
I
Yeah,
had just graduated.
yeah, and it was just a full day of snow. It was nice,
Yeah,
and it snowed. It like we got some flurries a couple of times, but nothing to that magnitude of what they got last week.
yeah, it was crazy
Yeah,
to the
and
point where I could barely leave my front door. That tells you anything.
yeah. I wish I could have seen it. It would have been nice. I know up here in the Atlanta area, we got snow on the 12th and a little dusting, a little flurry this past week, the week of the 17th. Sorry,
Right.
week the night the 20th. So it's been nice, but it's been very cold.
Yeah, it's been very cold.
Yeah. But so this episode we are going to be talking about Sonic 3. This movie came out Sonic the Hedgehog 3. This movie came out December of 2024 and it was highly anticipated because Shadow the Hedgehog showed up and
He's so god dang cool.
he's so goddamn cool. And especially when he's voiced by Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, that was nobody can do a brooding character better than Keanu, except for maybe Hugh Jackman. But that's debatable.
Yeah,
But
they
like that was perfect casting.
perfect casting, perfect casting. No one could have done it better. Not
Right.
say, I mean, I know that the guy who's been voicing Sonic, I can't remember his name. I think it starts with Ben.
Ben
I think
Schwartz.
Ben Schwartz. Yeah, he's done great as Sonic. I think the original voice actress is
The
the same
original
one.
voice actress, yes.
Yeah, the same one in video games. And Idris
Yes.
Elba is killing it as Knuckles.
Yes, as always.
Yeah, and of course
And,
we have Jim Carrey as Robotnik, Dr. Eggman, who is like it's like he just brought his like same comedic timing and just mania from his 90s movies to this one and to the 90s 2000s movies to this one, and I love it. It's great.
yeah, it's not this is not a negative take. It's just Sonic it's just Sonic hunting Jim Carrey. That's all it is, and I love it.
Sonic
I
versus Jim Carrey. Yeah,
Yeah, like legitimately, Jim Carrey in a mustache and a red and yellow and black suit.
yeah. Well,
But
Eggman's a lot more I guess more, not as he's not as comedic in the games and other media. This
right,
one, whatever Jim Carrey still being comedic and being kind of goofy, crazy is works just great.
well, I watched a not a review thing, but a history of Robotnik versus Eggman thing, and they were saying that the Sonic Boom version of Robotnik slash Eggman is more comedic, which I have not watched Sonic Boom. I started Sonic Prime, but I haven't finished it. I think I have to watch season two, and I think two and three. I think I
Mhm.
did watch season one, but anyway, I'm a huge Sonic fan. I have been since the first games. I bought a Sega Mini for the sole purpose of me being able to play all three Sonics and Sonic and Knuckles. So like I was dying to see this movie, and I'm so glad I did. It was great.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, brief my brief journey the brief synopsis of my Sonic journey has been of course being exposed to the games in the 90s, and then like playing the Game Boy Advance games, Sonic Advance, playing Sonic
Mm-hmm.
Battle,
Mm-hmm.
and just playing like some games on console, and just loving just going fast,
So,
and yeah, it's great.
it really is. Sonic Adventure was the whole entire reason I fell in love with the Dreamcast, the Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah,
God, I wish that system was way so ahead of its time, but that's another topic for another day.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
this movie, like, it starts out with them with Sonic and the family, so, celebrating the day Sonic showed up on Earth.
hmm
They called it his B Earth Day or Be Earth Day,
yeah, yeah,
which is hilarious.
yeah.
And then we get this great sequence of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles racing, just to find out that Sonic and Tails are holograms because they're setting up the surprise for Sonic. But the whole race sequence was dope. We even got the goal spinning thing, like the end of the original levels of Sonic, how it spins when you finish the level. I thought that was a beautiful touch. It it was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
But we
That
it
that's that good comedy, lightheartedness that we're used to for from the first two movies.
right. But before we even get that, we get the backstory, a little bit of the backstory of Shadow, of him being captured by Gun and being held in the gun facility, which was called Tokyo Island, which is, I think it's a callback to either one of the games or one of the shows. I can't remember,
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
but that
but
was an
we get a scene of him, like we were seeing him in cryo
stasis.
in stasis. Yeah, not cryo, just stasis. And it's it's like, oh crap, he's getting out. He's getting out. Oh crap, he's getting out. And
Yep,
they think, oh, we'll be able to. We're scared, but we got this. There's enough of us. There's enough of us. We can stop him. He hasn't woken up yet. But then he wakes
yep.
up, and
But
then
then,
they're cooked. It's over. That
yep,
he just does his teleporting and kicking ass, and
yep,
just like, yeah, how long's it been? 50 years? Oh crap! And then he just goes on a
yep,
rampage.
yep. He he even does the thing from the Shadow the Hedgehog game where when the gun agents are trying to stop him, he teleports behind one of the guards and kicks him in the back of the head, and that was straight out of the Shadow the Hedgehog game, and it was like, oh man, that's dope.
Oh yeah, yeah. Even during like so Sonic and Tails and Knuckles, they get called to fight him, and he mops the floor with them, of course, because
Yep.
they just were not ready. They were not ready for Shadow.
Right.
And we get a lot of scenes of some other callbacks to Shadow the Hedgehog, where he's just gets on a motorcycle, even though Homeboy is fast as fuck.
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
and
That's
he's just probably
right.
like he's like super strong. He'll still get on a motorcycle and use a gun, just
Right.
like but
Which
that's definitely a callback to the games.
right, so that because if you I don't know if you remember, but in Shadow the Hedgehog, his motorcycle is called Dark Rider, and the very bike he gets on is kind of resembles Dark Rider a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool touch on when Sonic and them jump out of the helicopter. It's a callback to Sonic says his line from, I believe it's Sonic Adventure 2 when he jumps from something
Mm,
about no in-flight movie, we're out of here type thing. It's either the Sonic Team games or it's Sonic Adventure 2. But then as they're falling, Tails catches Knuckles and Sonic like he does in Sonic. It's not Sonic Battle. It's Sonic. What's the game where
I
they
think
have
it's
to be a team
Heroes.
up? Yeah, Sonic Heroes. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
He catches them like they do in Sonic Heroes, and then they hit the superhero landing that they hit, which was really cool. That was another nice callback.
yeah, yeah. Uh, so then we get they're trying to figure out, okay, who is this guy? Why is he? What's going on here? There's something going on. Gun gets in contact with them. They give uh there's somehow one of the gun generals gets attacked, and as he's I guess he gets killed, and he gives Sonic a key card or some kind of chip thing, and then they end up linking up with Eggman's former assistant, and they go find
Agent
Eggman.
Stone. Agent Stone is just he's so good in these
Yeah, yeah,
movies. He's just the lovable goofball sidekick that you just want to root for,
yeah, yeah,
and you just want Eggman to just give him that symbol of approval,
yeah, yeah, like,
which
yeah,
we'll
like,
get to later.
yeah, it's like, come on, man, like, just show some appreciation, because this guy's a G. Come on.
Yeah,
So they
like
go find
legit.
Eggman, who's been like just cooped up, miserable from his last, defeat, and they're trying to figure out like what's going on. Why does it feel like? Because I think they get some inkling that he might be behind his release, but he hasn't been doing anything.
Yeah, because he's so like beat down and depressed. But I love the fact that in all of these movies, but in this one, he has the crab robot, which is one of the most infamous badniks in the early Sonic games. So for them to make a crab robot for him to be hiding out in is absolutely hilarious to me. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
So they meet up with Eggman, and they go. Eggman decides to help them as long as he gets, of course, one of Sonic's quills to
Get his
sniff.
get his little jolt.
Yeah, to get his fix, for lack of a better term. And they end up at this abandoned gun facility where they find that this is where Shadow was held, and huh, Robotnik's freaking grandfather is still alive.
Yep, Gerald
So
Robotnik is
so
is there.
now there's two Robotniks, and they're both played by Jim Carrey, which is just absolutely awesome.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it works, but it works. It works great. Better than almost better than any like role where an actor has to play two different characters on the screen at the same time.
Yeah,
And they even acknowledge it. They're like, we know what
yeah,
we're doing, and we know it's
yeah.
awesome, and
It's
it
like
is
we're
it's work. It
playing the
works.
same guy played by the same character in a
Yeah, yeah,
movie.
yeah. It's like like robot like Eggman looks like Jim Carrey, but somehow like Gerald doesn't look like him as much, and
Yeah,
that's enough to kind of like give you that like, oh, is that him? That's him. That's definitely him, but it's hard to like doesn't fully register as Jim Carrey, but
I
it
watched
is.
the
It's great.
I watched the facts video uh about the movie. Shout out to channel Fred Raider, but I watched their facts video about it, and it said that he had to sit in the chair for 3 hours for each session to play Gerald,
Yeah,
to put all the makeup and prosthetics on to play Gerald.
it's like getting
So,
a tattoo, right?
hmm
Yeah,
I also saw a video where it said that when Robotnik is going through his quote unquote suit up scene, he actually had the guy that plays Stone like legitimately shave his head because he wanted it to be authentic.
that's
Which,
cool.
yeah, like he was like,
That's
"No,
too
we're
good to
doing it."
miss.
He was like, "No, we're doing it live. Go ahead and do it."
Yeah, because Jim Carrey's also not one to do sequels. I think I've
Right.
read that somewhere, and I'm proud of him for committing to the bit for three movies in a row.
Yeah. He even said that he'd be down to do the fourth if the he said if the script fit him, he would do it.
Oh, we'll get to that. So then they get to the old gun facility, and it's actually the same facility where uh, Gerald Robotnik, and Shadow and Maria, his niece,
Maria.
Maria, were were that's where they were back 50 years ago, where they were doing research on Shadow. We get some of Shadow's backstory that he was discovered in a asteroid in a meteor that crashed, and Gunn found him and started studying him, and he befriended Maria, and had to deal with some issues of like, oh, what am I? Am I a monster? Yada yada yada. And Maria befriended him, and they were there for each other during that time. So then they see that Robotnik, Eggman, Shadow have all joined forces, and Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are just like, oh crap, we're in trouble now. And so they get sent back. They find a way back to the couple. What are their names?
I always forget their names. Don't I always call the one guy Donut Lord because that's what Sonic called him. And then they he even had a sweater with it on with Donut Lord on it, and I'm like, yep, I don't remember that guy's name.
Yeah. So James Martin plays Tom, and Tika Sumpter plays Maddie.
Yeah, Tom and Maddie, that's their
Yeah, Tom and
names.
Maddie. And
Yeah,
they're great. They're high. They're high energy. They're there for Sonic. They're definitely his like his anchors to Earth. Kind of like surrogate parents to a degree.
yeah,
They agree to
and
help
I
him out.
and I love the scene where where Team Sonic finally gets back to them, and they're like sitting in the house, and they're like trying to figure out something to do to bide their time, and you hear the piano version of Green Hills from the first Sonic game
Yeah,
playing on the piano. I thought that was dope.
yeah,
But when Sonic and them come back and they're like, "Look, we need your help. We gotta stop this. We gotta stop this madman and this other hedgehog." And they're both like, "We're so in. We were so bored. What do you need us to do?"
right, right.
That was
Adventure,
hilarious to me.
heck yeah. Let's instead of knitting and everything else, every other hobby they were
Yeah,
trying.
yeah,
Yeah. So they go to the gun facility in gun headquarters facility in I think in London somewhere. London to get the other key card that I think they need to get before Eggman and Shadow and Robotnik get there.
yeah. Because uh, back in the day, Gerald built a world-ending weapon, and so that's what the key cards are for: is to unlock the world-ending weapon with Shadow's power. So that is their plan. That's the Robotniks and Shadow's plan, is to vaporize the world for what they did to Maria. So Team Sonic has to jump in and try to stop him. So they're going to try to capture the key card, the other key card to unlock the weapon, and we get this beautiful laser beam sequence that is just out of this world with the two Robotniks. Absolutely hilarious scene. Instead of dodging Instead of dodging the lasers like a Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movie, which Sonic makes a reference to, which I thought was funny. He's like, "Can't we just call Tom Cruise for this?" Because they were trying to figure out how Team Sonic was going to get past the lasers. But the Robotniks devised these light reflecting suits so that they could just walk through and the lasers won't bother them. So we get this crazy hilarious dance sequence between the two. It's hilarious. Also, shout out to Kristen Ritter who plays the gun agent in this movie. She was great. A lot more life and personality.
Yes, yes. I always appreciate seeing her on screen, and she definitely she had like she's able to do some of the I guess the physical aspects of the role while also keeping like a grounded kind of tone. She just matched the energy that she was able to provide the energy that the movie needed for her role.
Right, right,
Yeah. So then they hijinks ensue to get the other key card or chip for the weapon, and but then they end up getting both of them when Shadow attacks Tom because he's disguised as a general, the same general that was at fault or involved with the accident that killed Maria when the soldiers took tried to take over gun, and they ended up blowing up something, and ended up she got caught in an explosion. She died, which sent her and Robotnik into like spirals of grief, and is the kind of the main motivator we find out for Gerald Robotnik's desire for revenge and destroying the world.
right. And that was essentially one to one, right? What happened in Sonic Adventure 2?
Right, right.
Or that, or did they change? They changed it around slightly, but I don't remember the exact details of what the changes were.
Right. I think they were. Well, because well, in the original game, like Robotnik has been Jared Robotnik has been dead and gone, but Eggman's using Shadow, manipulating Shadow, and using the egg the super weapon to just kind of hold Earth hostage, or try to take over the world. And Sonic and his friends are trying to like stop him, but then of course he I think somehow Eggman loses control, and Shadow kind of realizes that, oh, this is gonna actually destroy the world if left unchecked. So in the movie though, Jared Robotnik is just like, yeah, we're gonna destroy everything because they took Maria away, so everyone's got to suffer. And then we get a scene of
Yep,
Shadow and Eggman realizing, oh crap, we've messed up. He's going to destroy everything.
yep. The fight sequence. We're gonna talk about the fight sequences in this movie, but specifically the fight sequence between Gerald and Ivo. I don't know how they pulled that off, but what a great sequence it was. Like the back and forth between them two, the
Yeah,
nanotechnology,
yeah, yeah,
the shade that was thrown at each other and other movies in that,
yeah,
and pop culture references.
yeah.
It,
Props to the VFX team, and just also the costume design, because their costumes were great. Definitely
right.
ripped the Eggman suit straight out of the games.
Right. I was gonna say I'm so glad to see Jim Carrey get to be in the actual Eggman suit. So that was dope.
Sonic, on the other hand, has been is pretty his world's a little rock. Seeing Tom, kind of clinging to life, or like in critical condition after Shadow uh, knocks him down. And takes the key card chip for the super weapon, and so he gets he's like taking his anger out on Tails and Knuckles, and he's like, I need more power to fight Shadow to stop them, but also he's like, I really want to make him pay for what he did to Tom. And we get a sequence of Sonic's Knuckles and Tails and Knuckles are like, bro, you need to chill. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. You don't want to do this. And Knuckles is, of course, like don't you can't just use the emeralds that way. That's not how you're supposed to use them. You know better. But Sonic's not hearing any of it, which is unlike Sonic. But you know,
Yeah,
Tom is
but
yeah, go ahead.
but like a lot of like most creatures with emotions,
Yep,
Sonic kind of we all get those moments where something happens to a loved one and it was by the hands of another, so we all get a little vengeful, and
right,
Sonic's kind of looking with the rage colored glasses on, and Knuckles is trying to be like, that's not what they're used for. But Sonic is like, I know, but it's the only way. So
yeah,
where are they? And he's like, I will go through you if I have to get them, which, like you said, is very unlike him.
yeah, yeah.
So Knuckles,
He
big,
relents, and he
yeah, I was gonna say he begrudgingly relents and
yeah.
tells him where the Chaos Emerald is, and of course, it's with Wade Whipple. And if you watch the Knuckles series, Knuckles has an affinity for Wade because of the adventures they went on in that series, which is a hilarious series. You don't really need to watch it to get into the movie, but it's kind of a little. It's a good little Easter egg if you do watch it. It's hilarious. If
Yeah.
you're in the mood, it's short. If you're in the mood for a good laugh, watch it. It's good.
Yeah, for one did not watch Knuckles. Just didn't don't have access to Paramount Plus. But I was like, do I need to watch anything? And then when I watched, I was like, I didn't really see when I watched Sonic 3, I was like, I don't think I'm missing anything here from after even just from just watching the first and second movie. But thanks, Matt, for saying that was a tie-in to the Knuckles show.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so Sonic wants the Emerald, and Wade, being the Stonewall powerful guardian that he is, um, fights him tooth and nail to, they have a long drawn out battle for the emerald, and somehow Sonic pulls the win and takes it from him.
Yes, Wade's just like Wade. The goofball that he is using the dang Chaos Emerald as a freaking hockey puck on his rooftop, and so he just gives it to Sonic just because.
Yeah, yeah. Sonic does not. Sonic barely has a conversation about taking the emerald. He just grabs it and he goes. And we get Supersonic, and Supersonic goes after Shadow, and it's like, oh
And the
crap,
Robotniks.
and Robotics. He goes after them, and then so he basically goes after, but he goes after Shadow because Shadow, hurt Tom, so he wants vengeance, and so they start having a fight. And it's like, oh, Sonic's got this. Sonic's got this in the bag. He's got the Chaos Emeralds backing him up. But Shadow, um, somehow is able to just like, yeah, you think you're hot, you're hot shit now. You think you can just school me? Let me show you something real quick, nephew.
And
And go ahead, Matt.
let's was did Shadow get the super shadow power at the same time Sonic did before they fought or after? I can't
It
remember.
was like Sonic was like, oh yeah, I'm about to whoop you,
Oh,
show
oh,
you what's
that's
up.
okay. I remember now.
Yeah,
During the middle of their fight, Sonic is trying to use the Chaos Emeralds, but in the middle of him using him and Shadow clash, and so they both get the superpower up. Which,
yeah.
if you know anything about Super Shadow, that dude is that dude. He is a mother.
It's like,
So
oh
like,
crap, so
so like,
he's super now, and like
yeah. So we
Sonic thought he was like, oh, this is gonna be an easy win, and then Shadow's like, oh no, I have that too, bro. Like, what then?
and they didn't really touch on this, but we all know that Shadow has the power of chaos control anyway.
Yeah,
But they didn't touch on that in the movie, which I think in the next one they will, if there is a next one. But yeah, and the shout out, like you said, shout out to the effects and the animation team because the fight sequences in this movie, especially that one, that that was insane. That is
yeah,
what
yeah,
you would want a CGI high definition animated Dragon Ball to look like. I would
yeah,
think
yeah. As
that
our
it was awesome.
as our friend Phil kept saying, it's like,
Yeah,
dude, this shows we can make a Dragon Ball Z movie. We can make a Dragon Ball. They can make a Dragon Ball Z movie if they wanted to. This is proof of concept, and
it
it's like, yeah, yes, it is. But I appreciate. I think Dragon Ball Z had to crawl so this one could run. So
yeah.
a lot of things could run.
Also, if you know anything about Dragon Ball Z and Sonic the Hedgehog, the two have been ripping off each other for years.
Yeah, yeah,
They kind of have been on this parallel thing, Super Saiyan, Super Sonic,
yeah,
they've been on this parallel thing forever. They've both borrowed things from each other, including Silver. Matter of fact, the creators of Sonic actually said they made Silver because of Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. So
yeah.
there's that. So it's been this parallel back and forth kind of thing since the beginning. So that's a nice little Easter egg. But yeah, the fight scenes in this movie were phenomenal.
Yes, yes. And so we get to like they're all like Sonic's fighting Shadow to stop him, but also because he wants to, because he's like he's angry at him. And then we have Eggman
Right.
fighting his grandfather to stop him from destroying the world. But then we get where Sonic is like, he is in the midst of like, I think he's got the upper hand. But I think he's like looking at, he's like has a moment of clarity, and he stops the fight with him with Shadow, and they have a moment. They're on the moon. They're just out there just talking, and he realizes that Tom would not want him to stoop down to this level. Uh, of and live in these feelings of vengeance and anger, and reminds him that of his heart, and that also stirs something in Shadow. He brings him memories of
Right.
Maria,
Right.
how Maria told him that he was her friend. He wasn't a monster. He wasn't a weapon.
Mm. They kind of parallel each other in a sense, and they realize that both of their loved ones wouldn't want them to be acting the way they are, so they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Yo, we gotta stop." They decide we gotta stop this.
Yeah. And they have a night, and that scene is just very poignant. And I was like, I'm
Yeah.
watching them like, am I getting like what's someone cutting onions in here? Because this is like this is hidden like the Sonic 3 of all movies. This is like
Right.
tugging
Yep.
at your heartstrings. Like what is going on here?
Yep. And we got a Maria and Shadow had a conversation in the beginning where they were talking
Yes.
about the stars, and Maria said something along the lines of, even though they're not, the stars aren't actually here, they still shine the brightest, or something like something. It's something along the lines of your loved one, even though they're not here, you still have the memories of them, or along those lines. And the first time I heard it between them two, I was like, "Oh man!" And then when it came up again between in the
Yeah.
Sonic and Shadow conversation, it was like, "Oh no, man! Ah, dang, dang! Am I getting teary eyed now thinking about it? I hope not." But yeah, man, and especially with the year I went through last year, that it definitely hit home for me.
Yeah.
So on a
Yeah.
personal note, that scene was mwah, chef's kiss on
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah. I think that's definitely like, again, this movie was just kind of was firing on all cylinders, being a good kids movie, but also having things that Sonic fans, adults and Sonic fans of all ages would appreciate. So we have the final fight, which feels like you're just watching Sonic Adventure 2,
Yep.
or you're playing
Yep.
Sonic Adventure 2, where Shadow and Sonic and Super Sonic are, trying to stop the cannon from firing on Earth.
Yep. There. Speaking of that, and you also get the scene where I think it was in. Let's go back a little bit. The scene where Sonic's running through London. You get that song from the downhill level in Sonic Adventure.
Mhm.
There's kind of a nod to that song in there. The running through town at the speed of sound, I think is the lyrics to it. That song, that it was awesome. But in the final fight, we get Robotnik actually deciding to do some good for once and trying to stop the machine from the inside after stopping his grandfather, while Sonic and Shadow tried to stop it from the outside. And uh, Eggman decides he's going to sacrifice himself to steer the machine away from the Earth. So he decides to broadcast a message to the entire world via Robotnik technology, and he finally acknowledges Agent Stone. Agent Stone's in the middle of London. And he's watching on the big screen, and he says, "I want to send a shout out to." It was basically, "I want to send a shout out to my friend. He's not a stooge, Agent Stone, and I'll always miss your coffee." And Agent Stone kind of tears up, and he's like, "Oh." And then Sonic, Shadow, and Robotnik all stop the machine. Robotnik sacrifices himself, and he's presumed dead at this point.
him and Shadow are presumed dead. Sonic makes it down to Earth. He gets rocked pretty hard, but Knuckles and Tails come through for him, and they reconcile. Uh, Going back to the uh, Gerald, Robotnik, and Eggman's relationship, they have a very funny back and forth of like Eggman's like, I have family, I have someone in my life that's like me, and they do a lot of bonding, which Gerald's kind of just manipulating him, but and Eggman's really appreciative, but he also doesn't real. But this is also kind of a thing of like, oh, he doesn't realize that he has someone in his life that he can, feel, like, a he has someone in his life. He has what's his name? Sorry, the agent or
Agent Stone.
he has Agent Stone that's in his life that's there for him, but he wants that familiar relationship. But he has a friend there that's
Essentially his
actually
family.
does care for him. That is like family to him.
Yeah,
Uh,
essentially his family. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, but
chosen family.
yeah, chosen family. There you
Yeah, and then we get a beautiful, beautiful credit roll that reminds you a lot of the games with
go.
all the pixels and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Then we have
then,
two. We have a mid credits and then a post credit scene.
yeah, the mid credit scene. They set up the race from the beginning between Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. That's the second time I've done that. Um, they set up that race again, and Sonic runs so far that he ends up in New York State in the woods at night. And he's like, okay, how do I get back home? And then all of a sudden, we see a robotic eyes like watching him. And then it's like, oh, turns out it's not one Metal Sonic, but an army of Metal Sonics
An
attacking
army of
him.
Metal Sonics from God knows where.
Yeah,
And Sonic's able to beat one of them, but the rest of them are like converging. It's like, oh crap, he
yeah,
might be have his work cut out for him. But
yeah.
then
And
he
I
is
think he,
joined by a mysterious hooded figure.
who turns out to be Amy freaking Rose, hammer and all,
Yeah,
and I was hyped.
I was just like, I would not have like I'm like I know they got to introduce more of his his character his side characters more.
Yeah,
There's so many characters that they introduce throughout the games, and it's like they've been you kind of want to you have to kind of balance it fairly. You can't
yeah,
just throw them all in there at once.
yeah,
Sonic had just him. Sonic 2 had Tails and Knuckles, and now
yeah.
we just got Shadow in this one. But now
Yeah.
next one we're going to have at least
Wait,
Amy with
Sonic
Tails
One
and
had
Knuckles.
Knuckles in it, didn't it?
Sonic 2 had Tails and Knuckles in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Tails
Yeah.
shows up at the end of Sonic 1.
Sonic One.
The
Yeah.
very end, the post credits of Sonic 1.
Yeah. But yeah, that scene had me hyped because I didn't know this until the other day. Amy and Metal Sonic made their debut in Sega CD, which I never got to play. Which I kind of wish I had, but
Yeah, same here.
that
Same here.
but in the comics, they Metal Sonic especially is a handful, and Amy's like a loyal sidekick to Sonic, and within all the shows, she's a loyal sidekick to Sonic. So that was dope to see. I can't wait to see if they bring in Ruse and how they're gonna make her.
Yeah, yeah. Amy is Sonic's self-proclaimed girlfriend. So we'll see the next movie how they set
Yeah,
that up, where she
yeah.
comes from, her and how she fits into the main cast.
I
And then we
think
have a post-credit scene, very brief, showing one of Shadow's rings
inhibitor rings.
that fell to Earth,
Yep,
but he also is there and is able to he shows up to recover it.
yep.
So
Oh yeah, we forgot to touch on the inhibitor rings. While
yes, yes.
while Shadow and Sonic are pushing the giant uh death death machine out of the way, Shadow releases his inhibitor rings that hold back its power to give them a little boost to try to help push it out of the way.
Hmm.
And so the machine blows up. Shadow crashes to Earth. He's presumed dead. But in the post credit scene, we see that Shadow himself picks up the inhibitor rings and puts it back on, and that's the end of the movie.
Yep.
But I'm gonna throw in a little Easter egg here. At the end of, I think it's Sonic Adventure 2, when Shadow loses the inhibitor rings, is Rouge that finds him and gives him and the rings and gives it to Shadow.
Hmm.
So if we get a Sonic 4, we may get Amy and Rouge the Bat too.
Well, we'll see. We're
Which could,
definitely here for it. Again,
absolutely, I'm here for
somehow
it.
this was like I saw Sonic 1 and it was a good movie. Sonic 2 was good. I feel like it was a little more, definitely, amped up the kid-friendly aspect because he had to focus on like Sonic and Tails' relationship and just somehow have that comedy, that kid comedy energy. But this one just knocked it out of the park with everything.
A- absolutely.
Yeah.
This series of movies has been one of those rare series for me, at least, in the sense that nowadays when you do sequels, the sequel usually isn't as good as the first, and then the sequel after that definitely isn't as good. But we've had two movies within the last 2 years that the two sequels were as good or better than the first to me, and that's the Deadpool movies. Deadpool 2 to me was not as good as the first, but it was good. And Sonic 2 was really good to me, and then you get Deadpool 3, which is the that one is the best of them, and Sonic 3 is the best of them for me. It seems like both of those franchises ramped it up after each movie, and that's what you want from your sequels, and we haven't got that in a long time, in my opinion. So bravo on them.
Right. A lot of comic book movies, they usually know how to hit out the park with a sequel. Uh, but the third one's usually somewhat lacking. Exceptions being, I can think of, like, yeah, the Deadpool and the Deadpool movies and the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Those their sequels
Oh yeah,
were decent. Their
Guardians
sequels
too.
were decent, but their their third entries are just amazing. Just they just firing on all cylinders. Definitely worth watching and rewatching. And also,
Absolutely.
kudos to Sonic for being a video game movie that has exceeded expectations because it could have been we could have gotten a movie where
We
they
could have
might
got ugly Sonic in the
have
actual Sonic
we could
franchise. It
have
would
got
have
that
been not
hideous
good.
abomination Sonic.
No.
If people hadn't revolted, they could have been like, well, he's fine. Just go watch it."
Absolutely freaking not. No. I was
No,
no.
no, I don't think no one would have liked and watched that. It would not have been as popular if they hadn't have changed it.
We would have watched it in total disgust, especially me.
Yeah,
That would have been a hate watch.
it would have been
Hate
a
watch.
fine. It would have been like, this was something, and then just we probably wouldn't
Yeah.
have gotten any sequels.
Yeah.
But here we are, 3 movies in, maybe another one on the way, and, and probably some
Yeah.
more, maybe some more after that. We'll see.
It's definitely set up for one, at least one more for sure, maybe
Yep,
two,
yep, yep.
but we will see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So that's all for our Sonic 3 review. Let us know what you liked about it. If you we will post this on our YouTube as soon as YouTube, Spotify, wherever, as soon as we can. Uh, yep, send us a message. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about next. We should be getting together soon with Hayden to do a TV show review, or and just some more episodes in general. But you'll be hearing from us soon.
Yep, yep. Also, let us know if you would like us to do like show or movie reviews or do commentary as we watch shows or movies, because I think that would be fun.
Yeah, yeah, we can definitely give that the old college try.
Yep. And until then, nerd out.
Nerd out.